So we've got to learn 4 tales, and then we can be let in to see the teller. Is that what she's called? I don't know. Well, we know that our best friend Saina, that she knows the first one, whatever that is. So I can only hope the first tale they learn is one of the 4 that I need to pick up.
Hi, Saina.
Hi, April.
No.
Do you know one of the 4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
Yes, my mommy taught me the tale of the stars. It's a really pretty story. Do you want me to tell it?
Oh, so she didn't even learn it in
Please,
school.
Saina, I would like that very much.
Okay. This is my tale, the tale of stars, and I tell it to you in my own words, as it was told to me by my teacher in her words. In the small village of Jinjay near the rumbling hills of Onion, there lived a girl called Mona. She was a curious girl, and she would always get in the way of grown Alatien. Go play somewhere else, they would say to Mona, but she didn't want to play with the other children. She wanted to be where the grown-ups were, to see what they were doing, and learn from them. But one day, after getting many complaints from the pottery makers and guardsmen and traders and soldiers in the village, Mona's mother told her that she wasn't to interfere with the grown-ups anymore,
Aw.
and that instead she could go play with the other children, or sit still and draw or work with clay. But Mona was always curious, and now, since she wasn't to be among the grown Alatien anymore, she decided to go exploring the forest that lay just outside of the village of Jinjay. She had many times been forbidden to enter the forest because it could be a dangerous place, but Mona was very curious. Of course, she wasn't planning on going far into the forest, but then her eye caught sight of a white flufftail hopping through the tall grass, and Mona, curious as ever, gave chase. The flufftail ran away into the forest, and Mona followed, blind to where she was going, and interested only in catching the white flufftail so that she could keep it as a pet.
We've all been there.
But then, after a good while, the flufftail disappeared into a hole in the ground, leaving Mona alone in a small clearing, somewhere deep inside the forest.
Did you check inside the hole? There could
She
be
was
Wonderland in
exhausted
there.
after running after the flufftail for so long, and as she looked around the clearing at the unfamiliar trees and flowers, she realized that she hadn't been paying attention to where she was going. Not for the first time, her curiosity had gotten the better of her, but this time it was serious. Mona was too young to fly, and she had very little sense of direction, and chasing the white flufftail had made her dizzy and tired. It was getting darker, and Mona was all alone in the deep, dangerous forest, too sleepy and too scared to be able to go anywhere. Mona curled up with her wings wrapped around her under the leaves of a tree and began crying. Soon it got really dark, and somewhere, not far away, wolves started howling at the moon. Mona was so scared she was petrified, but after a while her exhaustion got the better of her.
But will she
And
survive?
she fell asleep. She woke up when she heard a voice calling her from somewhere far above. Looking up at the starry sky, Mona saw a vision of the spirits of 5 tellers gazing down at her. "You have let your curiosity lead you astray," said one. "You are lost, and you deserve to be lost," said another. "Poor little girl," said a third. "We will help you home," said a fourth. "But remember this," said the 5th spirit. "We will lead you back to your village and to your mother only if you promise us one thing." "I promise," said Mona. "Whatever it is, I promise I will do it." "Very well," said the 1st spirit. "You will make the story of this night into your own tale, and you will call it the Tale of Stars." "It will be a tale to warn the curious to be careful," continued the 3rd spirit, "and to not let their curiosity get the better of them. And," said the 2nd spirit, "to remind the Alatien that the spirits of their tellers watch out for them when they most need it." And so the spirits of the 5 tellers guided Mona through the forest, and by dawn she was home. And Mona did tell her tale, the tale of stars to everyone in the village so that everyone would remember that the curious must be cautious and that the spirits of the tellers are always watching. This was my tale, the tale of stars, and I told it in my own words as my teacher did to me.
That was a beautiful tale, Saina.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Saina.
You're leaving again? I wish you could stay.
Me too, Saina, believe me.
So the moral of the story is always listen to your parents, kids. There was a woman over here.
Be careful, don't come too close. I'm almost done with this pot.
Oh, are you her mother?
Sorry.
Are you here to buy pottery? I didn't think traders were allowed up here.
No, I came to speak with your teller.
Really? I didn't know the teller spoke with anyone from the outside. You must be a very special girl.
Supposedly. My name's April, by the way.
Nima is my name. Nima of Ta'ama. The only Alatien village on Alace.
Wait, the only Alatien village on Okay, so the village has a name even though there's only one of them. So okay, whatever.
I like your pottery.
Might as well start with
It's our
pottery.
craft. That and storytelling. But storytelling can't buy merchandise or food.
I know a lot of people who live by telling stories, although I guess that's kind of different.
They are lucky then. Not that I don't enjoy making pottery. It's good to feel the wet clay between my claws, to shape it into whatever I wish. It's almost like creating a new life, I think. I don't have a husband yet, so I haven't tried. Have you? Do you have a husband and children?
What a personal
Neither,
question.
thank God. I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
Yeah, April's still
I was
18.
18 turnings this spring. I'm ready for a husband, but I've yet to court anyone who could make me soar on the winds. I think the men of Ta'ama are dull and timid.
What about the guard on the road below the village? He's our age, isn't he?
Isom? He's quite pretty, and his wings are
Aw.
big, but I don't think he likes me. He never looks at me or talks to me.
That doesn't mean anything. You could just be shy.
Maybe you could talk to him, find out who he likes, but don't say I sent you.
I can never turn
Sure,
down a good
do
matchmaking
that.
side quest.
Thank you, April.
And maybe she'll tell us one of these tales when
Thank you,
we
Nima.
finish her side quest.
You're welcome, April.
Though I only see 4 Alatien, which is... Oh wait, I guess there's this guy too.
Do you know one of the 4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
Mine is the tale of sea, human.
Oh, this is gonna be
Would
interesting.
you mind telling it to me?
I would be happy to do so. This is the tale of sea, told in my own words, as it was told to me by my teacher in his words, and to him by his teacher in his words.
Do you just go back as far back as you know?
This was a very, very long time ago, when the Alatien were a strong people, and we could spend days riding the hot winds above the seas. We hunted fish then, and we were at war with the Merum, the Wet-tails. Akalis was one of the strongest warriors there was. His claws were sharp and long, his beak pointy, and his teeth strong. Akalis was admired by everyone in his clan, and because of this, he was cocky and arrogant. So one day, the teller of Akalis city asked him to perform a very important and very special duty, to bring a sacred jewel to the teller of an Alatien town across the sea. This particular jewel was very important because it signified a union between the 2 towns, and it would benefit the people of both that it was delivered safely and promptly. Akalis grinned and told the teller that he would deliver the jewel both quickly and safely, and that she was not to worry. But the teller did worry, because Achilles was young and too sure of himself. But she wanted to test him, and to teach him that sharp claws, a pointy beak, and strong teeth are not all a warrior needs, that a warrior must also be wise and careful. So Achilles set out across the sea on his flight. It was on the fourth day that he spotted something in the water that caught his attention, and forgetting his duty and following his curiosity, Achilles dived towards the water to investigate.
Curiosity does not end
When
well.
he came closer, he saw that there were merum in the water, foolishly hunting close to the surface, and Achilles saw an opportunity to again prove his might as a great warrior to his people, and to capture the fins of a few wet-tails. But this time, Achilles' arrogance got the better of him, because the merum had set a trap. As he dived towards the merum with his claws, a spear shot up from the water to hit him. Achilles struck the water and dropped the jewel he was carrying, and it was all he could do not to drown. Achilles was bleeding, and the merum were grabbing onto his wings and his legs, but he fought bravely, and finally he managed to escape. But even though he now lived, he was dead inside, because the shame of losing the sacred jewel would always be with him. Achilles could not return to his village, because he had neglected his duty to his teller and to his people, and so he went away to a small island where he could be alone. To himself and his people, Achilles now became the lost one. He who had been on a sacred mission, but had failed in his arrogance. A year passed, and one day Achilles met with human traders from a ship that came close to his island. From the traders, Achilles heard speak of a hideous creature that lived in the sea, the octowoe. The octowoe was said to have a third eye, like a jewel, and that this eye pulled hapless sailors into its deadly eight-armed grasp.
Huh.
Achilles knew immediately that the octowoe's third eye had to be the jewel that he lost in the sea a year ago, and he now saw the opportunity to redeem himself. But Alatien was not used to water, and the thought of submerging himself in the cold, harsh ocean chilled Achilles to his heart. But he was the lost one, and if in his death he could at the very least redeem himself, to his own heart then it would be worth it. So Achilles fashioned himself a spear, because in the water his claws and his beak would be too slow, and he flew out to where the octowoe was last seen. And then Achilles dived into the sea. The dark water closed in on him, and his wings and legs went numb. But still Achilles kept pushing down until he saw the lair of the octowoe.
Needs to invest in one of those
Spotting
polyps.
Achilles, the octowoe attacked, and Achilles saw the monster's third eye, his sacred jewel, shining bright in the darkness, and his heart was filled with a sense of duty and courage that he had never felt before. But as he began fighting the eight-armed monster, Achilles realized that if he were to fight like he usually did, he would not stand a chance. He would have to think differently. And so Achilles tricked the octowoe into following him through a tight chasm where the monster got stuck. And then he swam above it, and using his spear, tipped a rock on top of the octowoe.
Didn't they do that in The Little Mermaid?
Swimming back down again, the octowoe was flailing helplessly. Now, almost out of air, Achilles took the sacred jewel from the octowoe's head and swam back up. Finally, Achilles could deliver the sacred jewel to the town across the sea, and upon returning to his village, he went to the teller, bowed his head, and said, "Forgive me, teller, for in my arrogance I thought I could do everything. But I could not, and I became the lost one because of it." "You were lost," said the teller, "but you are no more. Because now you see the limits of your own strength, and you will know that a warrior must be careful and wise, in addition to being strong and fierce." This was the tale of C, and I told it in my own words, as told to me by my teacher.
Okay. Um, these tales seem to have a very high focus on community harmony and such. No pride, no sticking out, no.
So,
I don't know.
Isam,
Very
that's your
Eastern
name, isn't it?
thinking.
Yes, Isam of Tamar.
A good-looking guy like you must get a lot of attention from the girls, right?
How do we know
Are
that he's
you
our
asking
age?
me for courtship?
Me? No. Wings don't do anything for me. No, I was just thinking, maybe you had your eye out for somebody special?
I'd be all over a guy with
I'm
wings.
without a mate. The women of Tamar are cold and unfriendly, and whenever I try to talk to one of them, she ignores me.
Even Nima?
Nima? No, she's too pretty for me. She won't appreciate my attention.
Aww.
This is like high school. Trust me, Isam. You go talk to her one of these days, and I'm sure you'll find you have a lot in common. Just be yourself, okay?
You know, she doesn't really know
You
they have a
think
lot
so?
in common.
Perhaps you are right.
Just
I will do as you say, Windbringer.
that
Thank
the
you.
other, they both think the other's pretty.
Do you know one of the 4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
Let's do this again.
Mine is the tale of winds, Windbringer. Do you wish to hear it?
Why not?
Very much.
Then I shall tell it. This is the tale of winds, my tale, and I pledge to tell it in my own words, as told in turn by my teacher.
I like how they.
In the village of
Oh,
Karan,
no.
in the mountains of tall winds, there lived a young Alatien woman named Iwana. Iwana had one desire above all others, to soar higher and farther than anyone else.
We need to keep an eye out for the mountain that she
Even though
wants
her
to climb.
wings were no broader, nor her body sleeker than anyone else's, she pursued this foolish desire without rest. And as time passed, she did soar higher, and she did fly farther than the other young Alatien in her village, and her name became known far and wide amongst the tribes of the mountains of tall winds. But still, Iwana was not happy. She was not happy because, in her vanity, even though she was a better flyer than almost everyone else, and to her eyes, she was still not good enough.
I wouldn't call that vanity.
She wanted to be so much better than anyone else that she would be remembered for all time as the best flyer amongst all the Alatien.
Okay, maybe it's vanity.
And so one day, Iwana decided to climb to the top of Mount Bakta'ana, the Tower of Light, and to soar from those giddy heights to the ends of the world. Her friends and her family pleaded with her not to.
Doesn't sound like the best
because
idea.
every Alatien knew that to soar from such heights was dangerous. That at such heights the air was thin and the winds treacherous. But Iwana would not listen, and on a cold and clear morning she climbed up the Tower of Light to the rock and the ice at the very top. From there she could see to the ends of the world. And it brought tears to her eyes to know that now, finally, she would be greater and better than any Alatien before her. And so Iwana spread her wings and leaped off the mountain.
And died.
Those who watched her from far below said that for a split moment Iwana soared, and she soared higher and farther than any Alatien before or since. But then the treacherous winds caught a hold of her, and the thin air made her plummet towards the ground, and to fall to her death amongst the rocks at the base of the mountain. In her vanity, Iwana could not see beyond her desire to be the very best,
Like no one ever was.
and vanity always stands to fall. That was the tale of winds, my tale, and I told it in my own words, as told to me in turn by my teacher.
Anyway, I like how they emphasize that the story that you are hearing may not be exactly the same as the same tale told by other people.
Thanks for your help.
Okay, that's all we can say. Anyway, now that we've hooked up Nima, was that how you pronounce it? That's how you spell it. But I think there was more like Naima or I don't know syllables. Anyway, I need another tale now.
Hi, Nima.
Oh, it is just
Hi,
Nima.
April.
Oh, we can't tell her about how we found her a boyfriend?
Do you know one of the
Whatever.
4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
I had to learn the tale of homecoming. It took a long time, but I think I got it now. I'm better with pottery than I am with the tales, unfortunately. Do you want to hear it?
You sort of have to.
Please.
Very well. This is the tale of homecoming, my tale, and I shall tell it in my own words, as told to me by my teacher, in her words, and by her teacher in turn. Moran was a handsome young Alatien man with strong wings and a hardy beak. He lived below the white cliffs, where the water was salty and the fish plentiful. Moran was betrothed to Inara, the loveliest girl there ever was.
Queen of
She
Ferelden?
was fair and slender and tall, and her eyes were the clearest shade of blue. But
I think that
Moran
all
was
describes
hesitant to
Inara.
enter into union with Inara, to become her husband and to give her children. He would always come up with a new excuse for why they had to wait a little while longer.
Oh, I know guys like
Now,
that.
Inara was skilled at pottery, but even more so with stories, and the teller of the village had many times asked Inara to be her apprentice, to learn all the tales, so that someday she could take over as the teller. But Inara refused, knowing that if she did accept the teller's offer, she would never be able to marry Moran, because a teller cannot have a husband nor children of her own. Her refusal to become the teller's apprentice was unheard of, because who could refuse such an honor? But to Inara, love was more important. Her love for Moran was beyond honor, beyond reason. But despite Inara's love, Moran was still hesitant. And then one day he told Inara, "I am traveling on a pilgrimage to the far shores. I will be gone for some time, and while I am traveling,
I plan on banging a lot of
and in
chicks.
accordance with our traditions, I will be freed from our betrothal. Not until I come back will the bond between us be renewed."
That's really what he said.
It was not unusual for a young Alatien man at that time to go on a pilgrimage, and the bond between the betrothed would often be cut while he was away, to be formed again upon his return. But Inara was heartbroken, because she had thought that Moran would soon want to marry her. When Moran saw her tears, he said to her, "Do not weep. When I come back, I promise I will marry you. Just wait for me, and stay with your pots, to make the time pass quickly." And then Moran left on his pilgrimage to the far shores.
Kind of a dickish thing to do.
Many years went by, and Moran had exciting adventures on the far shores. But by and by, he began to long for home, and for Inara, and now he had finally realized that he loved her, and that he wanted to marry her.
Now he gets
But when
it.
he returned, he could not find Inara amongst the pot makers. He went to visit her family, and they told him that, after waiting for many years, Inara accepted the teller's offer of apprenticeship,
Well, good for her.
and that when the teller left on the last wind during the previous winter, Inara herself became the new teller. Angry, Moran made his way to the teller's nest, and when he saw Inara, he said to her, "You promised me you would wait." But Inara did not say a single word in answer. She just turned around and lifted something wrapped in leaves from the cot behind her and gave it to Moran. Moran unwrapped the package, and inside he found an old pot, cracked and broken in two. "What is this pot?" he asked. "And why did you not wait for me like I asked you to?" And finally Inara spoke, and she said to Moran, "I made this pot for you, my dear Moran, when you left, because I wanted it to be my marriage gift to you. But when many, many years passed, I finally realized that you did not love me the way I loved you, and to live hoping otherwise would be death." "But I want to marry you," cried Moran. "I came back." but Inara just nodded at the broken pot in Moran's hands and said, like an old pot that is left without care, a heart may break in two, and a broken heart can never be mended. And so Inara turned away, never to speak with Moran again, and Moran's heart, like the pot that was left untended, broke in two, because absence makes a heart brittle. This was the tale of homecoming, my tale, and I told it in my own words as told to me by my teacher, and as I will tell it to my student when the time comes.
Aw.
Bye, Nima.
Goodbye, April.
Well, isn't that just the ultimate? I don't know. Hasn't everyone wanted their exes to come back to them and just be like, no, you were the best thing ever, and I can't believe that I have ever thought about not being with you, and I don't know. Just seems like a little too tidy.
Are you ready for the questions now?
Yes, we got this.
Yes, ask me the questions.
In the Tale of Winds, which mountain did Iwana fall from in her vain attempt to fly higher and further than anyone else?
The one with 2 apostrophes in it.
Mount Baktaana, the Tower of Light.
That is correct. In the Tale of Stars, what did Mona see in the sky that helped her find her way home?
The tellers.
The spirits of 5 tellers.
That is correct. In the Tale of Sea, what creature did the Lost One battle in his quest to recover the sacred jewel?
The Octorok. I don't know.
The Octawo?
That is correct. My final question to you is this. In the Tale of Homecoming, what was given to Moran by his teller when he returned from his pilgrimage?
Broken pot.
A broken pot, to teach him that absence may break a heart in two.
You have correctly answered all my questions, and so have proven your knowledge of the 4 tales. You are the Windbringer.
Damn straight.
The teller would see you presently.
Okay, here we go.
She's the teller. She must be over 100 years old.
Come closer, human.
Okay.
Closer. I cannot see your face.
I'm getting uncomfortable.
Closer still. Come sit here by me.
This is creepy.
There you are. You see, my eyes are not what they used to be. Ages ago, I could spot a ladybug crawling up a straw of grass from 15 tree lengths up.
Of course you could.
Now, I have a hard time seeing my supper.
You have ladybugs here?
But my ears, balance be praised, my ears, they are as good as ever. I could hear you outside, learning the tales my children tell. You are a good listener and a fast learner.
They were interesting stories, and your people told them well.
That is what we do.
Flattery
The
gets you
Alatien are
everywhere.
the keepers of the tales, and I am their teller, the one who must know all the tales told since the day we came to this world.
How can you do that? How can you remember every story ever told?
The secret is to tell them often and to tell them in your own words, not the words of your ancestors.
I like it.
Doesn't that mean that the stories change with every generation?
Yes, as all tales must. Change is important. Otherwise, the tales will have no meaning to us. They will just be words, and we do not care about the words. We care about what the words tell us.
I really like it. Okay, I'm the Windbringer.
I'm the Windbringer.
I know you are. It's strange to me to hear those words spoken. I did not think they would be in my lifetime. But here you are, standing in front of me as real as the sky is blue.
I'm sorry I have to ask, but what is it that the Windbringer is supposed to do for you?
I did not expect you to walk in here and have all the answers, child.
Oh, that's
The
good.
balance has both blessed you and cursed you, and it has sent you here to do what it wills.
I'm starting to like this
The
teller.
Windbringer is said to be the first sign of the great wind that will take us away from here. For a long time, the Alatien have lost the strength they used to have. Our bones have become weak, and our wings fragile. Where we used to be able to soar for days on strong winds, we are now using our legs to walk rather than fly. Why this is, we do not know.
Tan Yen.
You know of the reason for this?
Bitch, I got this.
I'm just guessing, but it makes sense. Go on.
The tales also say that the Windbringer will unite us with our past and end the age-old strife.
I know. You must make peace and be reunited with the Merim. You share a common ancestry.
I have always thought we did. The tales were too similar, the signs clear. But my people, they will have a difficult time understanding why and how this can be.
If you don't, both the Alatien and the Merim will die out. When war broke out between your people and you were forced to move up into the mountains, it compromised a precarious symbiosis. A
Precarious
substance
symbiosis.
called Tan Yen was abundant where the Merim and the Alatien lived in close proximity. It brought fish and heat and light to both your people. But now, living up in the mountains, your way of life, your diet, your customs and habits, they've all changed. And that's probably the cause of your brittle bones and fragile wings.
Then we must make peace with the Merim and restore the balance between us, so as to strengthen us both and prepare us for the journey that will surely come soon. When our sitting is over, I will speak to my people, and I will elect one representative from the Alatien to meet with the Merim in the place of your choosing to open a dialogue.
I have to pick.
I came to you to find answers to some important questions.
Ask, and I will try my best to answer.
Oh man. I have a feeling this chapter's gonna go on for a little bit longer. Whether that will play out or not is really up in the air. But I'm gonna cut the video here. We'll get back to the conversation in the next video.